Not a word about his fault. Now let's get into the Pope, because you asked me to do this. Let's play the video, right? Can we play it? Will I get flagged? Because it's on YouTube. I shouldn't get flagged. All right, now we get into the I got to send my Pope visits Grand Mosque of Algiers, calls for mutual respect and peace building. Now we're going to go into it. Now we're going to bring out the implication. Now we're going to discuss why it's easy to be an armchair quarterback. If you take a moment to reflect and you think deeply, you will not envy being a bishop, especially of the most recognizable church on the planet. Whether you guys like it or not, the one bishop who is seen by the outside world as the leader of the Christians is the Pope. This is just a fact. I'm not saying it's true that he is the leader. The world are not Christian. They don't know about the differences, the infighting. What they see is that the Pope is the leader of Christianity. The weight, the burden of the church is on his shoulders. Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, government agencies see the Pope not just as the leader of one particular branch. They see him as the visible leader for the church universally. Right or wrong, that's a fact. Now, why is that scary? Why is that dangerous? Another aspect, when filmmakers, when cartoonists who want to make fun of Christianity, you'll see their number one target is the Catholic Church. From caricatures of the Pope, caricatures of bishops, and outright mockery and blasphemy of the Eucharist. Even when they make a satanic mass, black mass, what do Luciferian Satanists do? They go and look for a Catholic church to steal a Catholic host. Why is that? Why is that? So keep that in mind. As I'm about to go in deep dive, I'm going to give you some more biblical receipts. The whole eyes of the world are on him. You notice that? The whole world is on him. All the cameras all over the world, the Muslim countries, are seeing what he will do. Keep this in mind. Now, for those people who are saying, see, he bowed to Allah, keep in mind, they say, see, he's bowing, isn't he? Well, we'll get there. Why would you drown out his speech with music? I have no idea. Genius. But I'll come back to this. I just want you to watch this. Okay. You saw him, right, Michael Lawler? He was bowing. He didn't say anything externally. You guys ready for this? You want receipts, right? I'm doing it for you guys because people are telling me, how do you address this? Well, 2 Kings 5. 15 to 19. If you read the entire chapter, Naaman is the general of the army of the king of Syria. That means they're Edomites, descendants of Esau. Nonetheless, the descendants of Esau settled in Syria, right? I've obviously had interaction with other people groups, but nonetheless, I know that Edomites lived in Syria. That's why you'll find reference to Edom, a location in Syria, Edom. That's named after Esau because he had two names, right? Esau and Edom. All right, now Naaman had leprosy, right? So they heard about Elisha. Listen, that he was a prophet of God who could heal. So the king of Syria, Aram, sent a letter to the king of Israel saying, look, I want to send my general so you can heal him. Now the king of Israel panicked. Right here. What, is he trying to test me? Am I God? Look, does he think I'm God that can make alive and put to death? Does he think I'm God, I can heal him? He just wants to find a reason to fight with me and go to war. Okay, this is the context, right? Are you ready? Class has begun, right? Class has begun. You ready? Elisha sends word to the king. Why are you panicking, dude? Are you forgetful. Your God is the true God, and he sends prophets. So he tells the king to tell Naaman to come to Elisha. Now watch here. So Naaman goes to the doorway of the house of Elisha. Elisha doesn't go out. I'm summing it up. He sends his servant Gehazi or Gehazi. Tells Naaman, go dip yourself in the Jordan 7 times. 7 times. And then your skin will be fresh as a baby. Clean, no leprosy. He got livid. He got angry. He goes, wait, aren't there rivers in Damascus, Abana, Pharpar, that are better than your waters, Israel, that I could have dipped in? What, he came to give me a bath? He's angry. Is that why he summoned me? So I can go take a bath in the Jordan River? Notice Jordan River. In the future, who baptized in Jordan River? John. In the future, who will get baptized in the Jordan River by John? Jesus. To sanctify the waters of baptism to forgive sins. Right? Okay. That's when you're made a new creation. I want you to see the connection. He'll dip himself 7 times in the Jordan River so his skin will be fresh, restored, renewed, clean, like a baby. In other words, his physical skin will be renewed, just like your soul is renewed and restored in water baptism. Are you making the connection? 7 times. Notice this number 7. Not once, but 7. Why? 7 represents the rest of God. When you are baptized, you enter into God's rest, God's Sabbath. Are you seeing why this is not hit or miss? Deliberate. 7 times. The day of rest, God's rest, God's Sabbath. Dip yourself 7 times in the Jordan. Your skin will be renewed, restored. You get baptized in water for your inner man, inner woman, your soul spirit to be renewed, made alive, restored, and you enter God's rest. Are we seeing the significance? Another precursor of water baptism. Another picture of water baptism. So he does it. Go ahead and do it. Go wash and clean. You're here already. You traveled all these miles. So he went down, dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a young boy. He was clean. Young boy, new birth, born above, born again, born of spirit, born as a spiritual baby, made clean. A picture of your water baptism. Here's the key with the Pope. Let me see if you make the connection. 2 Kings 5:15-19. Then he returned to the man of God. And this is for you, Daily D. Remind me to play the clip right after this with all his camp. And came and stood before him and said, behold now, I know that there is no God in all the earth, but in Israel. Notice, I know your God is the only God. These gods we worship are nothing in comparison to your God. Now, he is from Syria. So all I need is Jesus, my Bible, even though your Bible says you need the church and the bishop. Genius, Khati. Genius. All right. He worships the gods and goddesses of the Edomites. But he says, you've convinced me. Yahweh, your God, is the God of all the earth. Now watch. But he said, as Yahweh lives, before whom I stand, I will take nothing. He's saying, I want to give you some financial blessing. Something. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. So Naaman said, if not, please let your servant at least be given 2 mules load of earth, for your servant will no longer offer burnt offering, nor will he sacrifice other gods but Yahweh. Now, let me break this down. Since Israel was known as Yahweh's real estate, what do I mean? Remember Deuteronomy 32:8-9, where God divided the nations according to the sons of God, which many take to mean the angelic host. Remember Daniel 10:13, 20-21. Every territory has a ruler, a spirit being, an evil spirit, a fallen spirit, a demon, an angel of Satan ruling over that area. You remember that? You guys remember this? You guys remember that? So the Bible confirms, and the nations believed, each territory had a spirit ruling over it. You remember Ephesians 6:12? Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against dominions, principalities, powers in the heavenly places. So the pagans knew Israel was God's real estate. Israel was his land, and his presence was situated there in Jerusalem. So why is he asking for earth? Because he wants to take a piece of God's real estate, piece of God's land, bring it into Syria so that he can build an altar on that real estate, a piece of God's land, to honor God when he sacrifices, to take a piece of that real estate. Because Syrian territory and soil belonged to the gods and goddesses. So he wanted to take Israelite soil, Israelite property, bring it into his home, and on that dirt, build an altar on the dirt that comes from God's real estate to then sacrifice to God. See how they thought? You see how seriously they took these beliefs? In this matter, may Yahweh pardon your servant. When my master goes, because remember, he has to be the bodyguard for the king. So when his master goes in the house of Rimmon, his God, the king's God, to worship there, and he leans on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, Yahweh, pardon your servant in this matter. I have to do it. Can you ask God to forgive me? Because he knows what's in my heart. He said to him, go in peace. Yes, you'll be okay. Say what? The prophet said, shame on you. Take a stand. Damn you. Go in peace. God will not punish you because he sees why you're doing it. You see that, D, or you don't see it? We're going to go deeper for you, D. You're losing your faith, weakling. I have a lot of mods there, but no one's there, huh? King Deplorable, I'm going to make you a mod in a minute. Just wait, don't go anywhere. It's because if he tells the king that he doesn't worship Rimmon because he's a false god, he can be killed. Did Elisha condemn him? Don't you dare do that? Or he said, go ahead, go in peace. When you enter the temple of that false god and you bow, God sees your heart. You're not bowing to that god. In your heart, you're bowing to Yahweh, but your circumstances are such, you have to do this. God will show you peace. Now let's go back to the Pope. Now, you think he's dumb? You think the Pope doesn't know his Bible? You think he's dumb? You think he doesn't know the Bible? Or at least theologians who know the Bible, who know 2 Kings? You think that when he bowed his head, you don't think he's glorifying, invoking Jesus to save this place and the Muslims? How do you know that? How do you know what is in his heart, D? How do you know what he's doing here? And if you're telling me he's wrong, then Elisha's wrong for telling Naaman, you can bow in the temple of a false god so long as in your heart you're worshiping Yahweh. Why do you guys sit in judgment of this man when you guys are biblically uneducated, illiterate? Why is that? I'm just giving you Bible, guys. Do you think you know Bible? Like here, D says, me and my Bible. Do you know your Bible that well? So D, tell me, how do you know he's not following the rule laid down by Elisha, that he's now entering the house of Satan and praying to the true God to save the people of that household? So why were you scandalized, D? Why did you send me this clip? Let me show you. It's what she sent me.
Iranian Christian here. So today a bunch of figures from the Islamic regime came to support Pope Leo from Donald Trump, which is very ironic to me, and I will explain in a second why. This all started when Trump called Pope Leo out for being soft on crime and tolerant of the Islamic regime having nuclear weapons. So why the irony? Because the Islamic regime has a long history of prosecuting religious minorities, largest one being the Christians, especially the Christian converts. Like myself.
Just right here, D, if you were smart, he just testified against himself, D. If you were smart, sister. But I think you're making a strong case for Muhammad that it takes two women to equal one brain. Now, don't condemn me, D. I'm just saying that's what Muhammad said. Okay, D, did you hear what he just said? D, did you hear what he just said? He just said the Islamic regime is known for persecuting Christians, especially converts. Imprisoning them, killing them, right? Now, D, you heard that, La? You heard what he just said? Let's see how deep you people think. He just told you Islamic regime persecutes Christians, especially converts, and imprisons them. Now, D, he just told you Christians are being persecuted by Muslims. What do you think the Muslims are going to do to the Christians if what they view as the leader of the church says, Allah is the devil, Muslims are sons of the devil. The mosque is a place of Satan. What then will they do to the Christians in Muslim lands when their leader says this? Genius, explain it to me. And I'm going to give you an example. Yeah, I was going to go to Pope Benedict. It happened recently when 2006, Pope Benedict quoted a medieval theologian saying Muhammad brought nothing new. He only brought evil. And the Christians got persecuted and killed because of those statements by Pope Benedict. Put in Christians attacked after Pope Benedict's speech. Following Pope Benedict XVI, September 2006, Regensburg Address, which quoted a 14th century text criticizing Islam, widespread protests and attacks on Christians occurred, particularly in the Middle East and Somalia. Churches were firebombed in the West Bank and Gaza, and an Italian nun was killed in Somalia. You geniuses. And you condemn the Pope for what he did. You guys will answer to God for being so quick to condemn and judge a man who knows the eyes of the world are upon him, and what he says can result in Christians being murdered because of him as he lives in the comfort of the Vatican. He shows more love for his neighbor than you because he can live peacefully in the Vatican, but who's going to be persecuted, beaten, killed, molested, imprisoned, murdered? The Christians on the ground. But you're very quick to condemn because you're not in that position. We know it's not the Pope's fault. We're saying that the Pope realized, even if I say something, others will be condemned and blamed because of my words. The man is showing the heart of a shepherd. He understands the Muslim mindset. He remembers what happened to Pope Benedict because he was there when Pope Benedict made those statements, and he saw what they did to Christians. Your sister, an Italian nun, got murdered, got killed in Somalia because of what the Pope said. And you armchair quarterback, you sad excuses of Christians, sit on your fat asses on the couch and condemn him living in comfort. See why I say, I'm not trying to Pope-splain. I understand his position, right or wrong, and I don't envy his position. That's why I go silent, because I wonder, would I have done a better job? I wonder, if I was Pope, how would I speak? Because now I know I can get my fellow Assyrian Chaldeans murdered in Iraq. Why? Because number one, they'll see me as a Christian and the head of the church. Number two, they'll say, oh, he's a Assyrian Chaldean. Let's now molest the Assyrian Chaldean women in Iraq. Let's now murder the Assyrian Chaldean to now hit him where it hurts. I'm trying to see it from his eyes. He's got the weight of Christians on his shoulder. All right, what about the part sacred space? Let's read it. Pope Leo XIV visits the Grand Mosque of Algiers, highlighting this role as a sacred space for prayer, dialogue, and the search for God. Search for God, huh? Now I'm going to give you more receipts. You ready for more receipts? From the Bible, that what he did is not unbiblical. All right, are you ready for me to read this? Guys, I hope you don't get angry at me and condemn me when I'm harsh and cruel and I insult people, because you see, old Sam ain't going nowhere, no matter how many times he tries. Anyway, let's go here. Let me read it. Then I'm going to give you more receipts. We'll wrap it up. I'll be done. Okay. Pope Leo XIV marked the beginning of his apostolic journey in Africa with a visit to the Grand Mosque of Algiers, this on Vatican News, by the way, where he highlighted the site's spiritual significance and paused in silent meditation. Welcomed by the rector of the mosque, Mohammed Ma'mun al-Qasim, of words of fraternity, the Pope said, I thank you for these reflections and for these important words during this visit from a place that represents a space that belongs to God. Even the words are carefully chosen. And I even had shared this on Twitter. I go, it's statements like these that cause people to stumble and scandalize the faithful. Represent the space that belongs to God. Represents, a divine and sacred space where many people come to pray and to seek the presence Most High in their lives. Yep. Now watch though. Is he being unbiblical? I'm getting there. Just let me read it. He went on to recall his personal link to the country through Augustine of Hippo, the great saint, describing Algeria as the land of my spiritual father, and highlighted themes central to his address. The search for truth. Search for truth. So he's indirectly telling them they're still on a search for truth. They don't have it. Recognition and dignity of every human being. And the shared responsibility to build peace. To seek God, he said, also means recognizing the image of God in every man and woman. See? You understand, implicit in his words is the call to Muslims. Every human bears the image of God and has dignity and must be cherished and cannot be murdered. Do you understand in these words? His call to stop killing, murdering non-Muslims. Every man and woman has the image of God. They are precious, have value and dignity. Do you not see the words? But you weaklings who don't know the Bible, don't know faith, sitting on your fat asses on the couches, think you know more, and you want to sit in judgment of people. And he said that such recognition calls for mutual respect and coexistence. The Pope also pointed to the dual religious intellectual vocation of the Mosque complex, noting the importance of developing human knowledge to better understand creation, dignity of the human person, not Muslim person, Christian humans. He concluded by assuring prayers for the people of Algeria and for all nations, expressing hope that peace, justice, reconciliation, and forgiveness would grow among peoples. During his visit, the Pope was accompanied by Cardinals George Jacob Kovacad, prefect of the dicastery for interreligious dialogue, and Jean-Paul Vesco, Archbishop of Algiers. The program included a guided visit to the mosque, an official photograph, and the signing of the Book of Honor, in which the Pope wrote, "May the mercy of the Most High keep the noble Algerian people, entire human family in peace and freedom." Another shot at Islam. There is no freedom to leave Islam in Islam. I'm going to get there. I'm not interested in the dimensions of the mosque. I just want to, Now, do you want me to give you now a biblical basis for invoking the gods of others? Do you want me to give you a biblical basis for invoking the gods of others? Because they recognize that God and appealing to them to appeal to their God without you acknowledging that God is real? You guys ready for this? I've never shown this to anyone. You guys ready? Judges 11:24, but we're going to read the context, shall we? Now it happened after a while that the sons of Ammon fought against Israel. So it happened that as the sons of Ammon fought against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah. Why did I say Gideon? Am I stupid? Hold on. Sorry about that. I said Gideon, right? Yeah, Jephthah, not Gideon. Gideon's in Judges 6. My bad. Gideon's is in Judges 6. Why did I think Gideon? Gideon is Jerubbaal. Jephthah. My apologies, guys. See, I'm having a brain freeze keeping up with all these heretics. Just see this in my Bible. I didn't mean to send it to you, so God exposed me because I'm a weak coward, shameful, disgraceful, because I think I know the Bible better than the Pope. You fake hypocrite. So it happened that as the sons of Ammon fought against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah from the land of Tob. They said to Jephthah, "Come and be our chief, that we may fight against the sons of Ammon." But then Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, do you not hate me and drive me from my father's house? So why have you come to me now when you're in distress? Now, I'm not going to read all of it. Let's start here. Verse 12. And Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the sons of Ammon, or Ammon. What is between you and me that you have come to fight against my land? Look, why are you fighting against my land? Then the king and the sons of Ammon said to the messenger Jephthah, because Israel took away my land when they came up from Egypt, from the Arnon as far as the Jabbok and the Jordan. So now return them peaceably. But Jephthah sent messengers again to the king of the sons of Ammon. Now watch. And they said to him, thus says Jephthah, Israel did not take away the land of Moab, nor the land of the sons of Ammon. For when they came up from Egypt, and Israel went through the wilderness to the Red Sea and came to Kadesh, then Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, please let us pass through your land. But the king of Edom would not listen. They also sent to the king of Moab, but he was not willing. So Israel remained at Kadesh. Then they went through the wilderness around the land of Edom, land of Moab, came to the east toward the sunrise of the land of Moab, and they camped beyond the Arnon, but they did not enter the territory of Moab, for the Arnon was the border of Moab. Now watch, 24 is going to shock the hell out of you. Israel sent messengers to Sihon, the king of the Amorites, the king of Heshbon, and Israel said to him, please, let us pass through your land to our place. But Sihon did not believe Israel to allow them to pass through his territory. So Sihon gathered all his people and camped in Jahaz and fought with Israel. Then Yahweh, the God of Israel, gave Sihon and all the people into the hand of Israel, and they struck them down. So Israel possessed all the land of the Amorites, the inhabitants of that country. So they possessed all the territory of the Amorites, from the Arnon as far as the Jabbok. Get ready, get shocked. And from the wilderness as far as the Jordan. So now Yahweh, the God of Israel, dispossessed the Amorites from before his people, Israel. Are you then possess it? Bam! Do you not possess what Chemosh, your God, gave you to possess? He acknowledged their God. Do you not possess what Chemosh, your God, gives you to possess? Did that demon really give them the land? You see, he's being a diplomat. Why? Because he's appeasing the king of Ammon so they don't go to war and people get killed. I guarantee you guys have never heard this passage, have you? You guys have never heard this passage, right? Let it sink in. Are you shocked that the Bible has every answer under the sun? So the Pope, he's being unbiblical when he appeals to Muslims and their beliefs to appease them, to save Christians from being murdered. So what do you want the Pope to do? Do you want him to come out and condemn Allah so he can get Christians murdered and slaughtered, nuns molested and killed, and churches firebombed? Or do you give this man some credit that he may know the Bible a little better than you guys? And he sees the Bible and he reads these and he says, just like Jephthah appeased the king of Ammon by saying, hey, Chemosh gave you the land. He's your God. Worship him there. And let us worship Yahweh our God and the land he's given us. So whatever Yahweh our God has taken possession of before us, we will possess it. Right?